Oh, I believe it is now time for the main event. What's good, everybody? Welcome in to the Early Edge as we count down to the AFC Championship game. The skies are clear, a little bit cool. We got the players out on the field warming up, and we will, I thought, sweat the end of the 49ers and the Eagles. Unfortunately, Brock Purdy gets hurt in the first quarter, and it's really never been a game. 28-7 currently is head to the fourth quarter, but we'll keep our eyes on it. You never know. You never know. But we have a bunch of props that we still need to hit, a bunch of things we're still very much interested in. But this is the here and the now, and I cannot wait for a rematch from last year in the AFC Championship game. So let's bring in the stars of the show. You know them, you love them, and it is, for the second time today, an embarrassment of riches. So first and foremost, look, we get to see his face this show. Live from Nashville, Tennessee, 8 floors below. AB, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Coach. Good afternoon, prop star, Sia, everybody in the Early Edge crew. Fired up. Hopefully this game tonight will be a little bit better than what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, it's like I said on social media, it's like watching a dentist extract teeth. Just painful to watch all the way around. But, Alex, I got to give you credit where credit's due. Your Eagles are grinding it out. If they can stop calling running plays for Jalen Hurts, please. But I don't think in the fourth quarter up 21 they'll be calling his number, hopefully. Good afternoon, sir. Congratulations.
Hopefully, indeed. Thank you, Coach. Cousin Sia, AB, great to see you. Quick bit of housekeeping to get to. As you can see, we've got a new background behind me. Still working out a few kinks. It will be perfect by my next stream appearance. I had a Venmo notification go off about half an hour ago. Shout out to Sia, taking care of business as he should. Same day, hint, hint to anyone out there who still hasn't taken care of business. Speaking of my Eagles, they're taking care of business right now.
Yeah,
Coach.
Yes, they are. That was a lot of housekeeping right there, Alex. Well done. Well done. By the way, Goose was just sitting perfectly back there for like 30 seconds. Well done. Very well trained. As you alluded to, Sia is, because he understands when you pay a showdown bet, you get it done. Now, raise of hands, because I want to vote on the show, because Sia said that we're not allowed to gloat because Brock Purdy got hurt and the game could have ended differently. Raise of hands if you should not do what my favorite show on TV says. Expect the unexpected. I expected it today. AB, am I wrong? Because can I gloat? Or if you say no, I won't gloat.
No, I'm saying you can. Absolutely.
I want to hear you gloat because I actually want to hear how someone might gloat.
I'd be careful.
I have a question for you, Coach, actually.
What's that, Alex?
I have a question for you, Coach. Sure. If the roles were reversed, say we had San Francisco, Sia had the Eagles, do you think he would gloat? I think he would.
100%. But he would do it in such a smart way that it wouldn't feel like gloating, and you'd have that backstab little thing at the end that he's so good at. So I understand. I won't be insufferable. And I appreciate that ding coming through as I was working on my notes that said Sia Najad, and I already paid it forward on a Travis Kelsey over 6.5 play. Thank you, Sia. Appreciate that.
No problem.
That's all I'm going to say. It does kind of suck. You want to see the best play against the best, and I did not feel good about the fact that Brock Purdy got hurt. And Josh Johnson, I mean, come on. 13 NFL teams and now playing an NFC Championship.
Right, Coach, would you like a nugget?
Of course.
All right, on the 49ers. Our man, Juwan Jennings, was a higher-rated quarterback coming into college than every single quarterback on the 49ers roster. Garoppolo, Trey Lance, Brock Purdy, Josh Johnson. And I'll take it one step further. Juwan Jennings was a higher-rated quarterback coming to college than Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson.
Wow.
Yep.
So it begs the question, why
isn't he playing?
Yeah. All right, let's get into it. We'll keep track of the NFC game. Oh, see, did you have something? I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, like, there's a huge cause and effect here. By the way, Josh Johnson, you mentioned who's playing. Well, he's been ruled out as well. So they literally don't have a quarterback right now. But, you know, if they had challenged the Devontae Smith catch, and I know this is, rewriting history a little bit because obviously it wasn't a catch that led to a touchdown. It would have been Niners ball at midfield at the beginning of the game. That Purdy injury probably doesn't happen. And let's just talk about our props for a second. My Christian McCaffrey prop is pretty much dead because they don't actually have a quarterback to throw, for one. Forget about the Elijah Mitchell part. And then Devontae Smith, who I believe has the most yards on the team, is my guess, without even looking at it. Well, he doesn't need to actually get the ball in the fourth or even really the third quarter because of the way this game is going. So, if you just go back to that moment where Devontae Smith was basically jumping up and down. Hey, let's run a play. Let's run a play. Let's run a play. You call a timeout there, and we have a competitive game in the fourth quarter because the Brock Purdy thing doesn't happen, and we have our props completely, or at least my props completely in play. And it's just one of those things, the trickle effect, the domino effect that one just error can cause. I mean, it's big time. I think the Niners could be winning this game. I really do, but we'll never know.
Never know. Taylor in the chat said Eagles played that smart by being fast-paced. And then another person said, can't believe they didn't challenge that play. Sometimes we talk about it all the time, head coaches being in the moment.
Yeah.
Whether it is clock management, whether it is knowing when to call a timeout and it's worth it. Alex,
hey,
go.
Coach. Well, so sorry. You always say, like, there are levels to the game. Like, yes. Devontae Smith knowing that he did not catch that pass and saying, let's go. No huddle, like, go right through it. That's next level, man. Like that. Yeah,
next level. 100%. Alex, go.
Two things. I would think it would be good gamesmanship, even if he was 100% confident he caught the pass, to encourage the huddle to go quickly in order to get the team to potentially burn a timeout. So I think anytime you're in that scenario, it makes sense to coach guys to get them to get the playoff really quick, because even if you caught it, the other team losing a timeout could be really advantageous. Second off, wouldn't you think that San Francisco has someone upstairs monitoring or replaying the plays to ensure that Kyle Shanahan should throw the flag? I don't think the onus is completely on the head coach. You'd think he'd be fed information from someone watching from above who would tell him the catch looked questionable.
There's a lot of things that play into that, Alex. I think also you got to remember, this was like 15 seconds. We're not talking, it wasn't 3 minutes. There was like 15 seconds to make that decision. And when you got 3 timeouts in a championship game, you don't want to burn them. You don't want to lose them. And it's in the first quarter, first drive.
Sure.
So I think there was a lot of things that came into play there. But all of you guys are correct. It just sucks that it is this way. And right now they're just running a bunch of misdirection plays where they're just trying to figure out what they can do to but it's just brutal. 28-7, the Eagles are going to win. All right, let's get into the main event. We do our best bets first. If you have a prop that you are looking at or you like, put it into the chat. Put the juice with it, too. My guys need it. Also, breaking news. I got 2 updates since our last show from my boy on the ground in Kansas City. Travis Kelsey, when he walked into the locker room, no visible issues, no visible anything. Went out, warmed up, no issues, no pain. Travis Kelsey is a 100% good to go straight from Kansas City and my connection. With that being said, see you, Najad. There is another big-time player for the Kansas City Chiefs. His name is number 15, Patrick Mahomes. That's right. Now, 5th straight year he's played in the AFC Championship game. This is all he knows. But he's got a gimpy ankle, high ankle sprain, which we don't know which way this is going to go. What's your best bet?
Yeah, my best bet is number 15 being 15 yards short of 300 yards passing or lower, for that matter. I have Patrick Mahomes under 285.5 passing yards. And I really like this for a lot of reasons. And it's not just because of the injury, although I think we have a built-in out. If I want to use poker terms, we have a built-in out potentially with the injury, with potentially an aggravation, and potentially him being limited maneuvering in the pocket. But the reality is this is a pretty good Cincinnati Bengals defense. Against the run, they're pretty good. Against the pass, they're pretty good in spite of injuries. And over the last 6 games, I'm not going to count last game because obviously Mahomes was injured during that game. But the 6 games prior, he only hit this in 3 out of 6 games. So it's not like early in the season he was passing for over 300 yards on a very regular basis, but it hasn't happened as much lately. And it hasn't happened any of the last 3 times that Mahomes has played the Cincinnati Bengals, including just a few weeks ago or about a month ago when they played and he was limited to 223 passing yards. So I really think this is a good number. It started out around 279, 280. Then once we got kind of good news about Pat Mahomes, it went up to 285.5, 286.5, but it kind of stayed at 285.5 the whole time after that for the last couple of days. I really like the under.
Okay, so we like the Patrick Mahomes under, and all great nuggets right there. As the narrative that both of these teams are now over teams, that's gotten lost a little bit. That's no longer the case with either one. They play ball control. Bengals good defense, so I like this play for Patrick Mahomes. Doesn't mean the Chiefs won't play well. Just
right. That's true.
All right. Now, Prop Stars, you are also on a Kansas City side best bet, and you're also fading a player for the Chiefs. Who am I talking about?
Yeah, you're talking about Juju Smith-Schuster, under 19.5 yards, longest reception. I encourage everybody to wait until the Travis Kelsey news came out. Coach obviously reported that he is going to play. That certainly bodes well for this prop. I wouldn't like it if Kelsey happen to be inactive, but considering that he's playing, I like it quite a bit. Reason being, Juju has been somewhat phased out of Kansas City's offense, taking a real backseat. So many mouths to feed when you're talking about, obviously, Travis Kelsey, Jerick McKinnon, MVS, across the board, McCole Hardman, Noah Gray, just a ton of complimentary weapons for Kansas City. He's only eclipsed 4 targets, I believe, 2 times in his previous 8 games. Only has 1 20-plus yard reception in 1 of his last 8 games as well. He has the most shallow ADOT of anybody on the Chiefs besides Kadarius Toney, who's essentially operating as a gadget player where almost all of his yards or receptions come near the line of scrimmage. So very shallow ADOT for Juju, really not being targeted downfield. Plus, he's just not getting a ton of targets right now to begin with. So I just think fading him in this spot is a really good way to do it.
And what would you play that down to? The book I'm looking at right now is at 18.5. They're kind of shifting all over the place. What would you play?
I'd pass at 18.5. I'd stick with 19.5.
Okay, don't play it at 18.5, he says. So I will cancel that bet I was getting ready to make. All right, so 2 best bets so far. Now, other experts on the show that aren't on the show, or on the brand that aren't on the show. Mikey has the Chiefs in a teaser and the over. So play the Chiefs at, this was back when the number was 2.5. So let's ignore that one today because that number is long gone. Then the Maestro, he's on the Bengals plus the 1. Samaje Perine over 15.5 receiving yards. Juju Smith-Schuster under 46.5. And I'll get reaction to some of these coming up. Uncle Dave, Patrick Mahomes also loves the under that Sia gave out. Passing yards, and Isaiah Pacheco under 47.5 rush yards. AB, let me come to you. What do you like tonight, big boy?
Yes, sir. You know what? I just realized I probably should have put this up on the screen for you to make it easier. So we'll just put it up there because we have so many picks here. Look, we're going with the Bengals first half team total over 10.5 plus money here at plus 110. You look at what the Bengals have done down the stretch. They've outscored opponents like 68-7 in the first half of games here. You know what? The Chiefs are a high-scoring first-half team as well, right? So I think that we could see, even though these are 2 teams that go on long, sustained drives, I think that we see both of them pressing to get the ball in the end zone so that they can play with a lead. All right, so we're going to play both of those team totals. First half, 10.5, second half, 12.5. We're also going to play Patrick Mahomes over half an interception, minus 120. Look, the reason we're playing him is this. I think that he's healthier than people might think. Then again, rolling outside the pocket, yeah, like it could be just a little bit, right? And I think that there could be a scenario where they might be playing tied or in a negative game script and putting the ball in the air. And you know what? Mahomes, like generally when he throws picks, he wins those games, right? Like, so we're not saying that the Chiefs, are going to lose by any means, but just something to pay attention to. So we're going to play that. No fly zone open there. Bengals-Chiefs, both teams have scored 20-plus points, minus 115. We're going to take a shot with that one as well. And let me give you a nugget here real quick. We talk about Patrick Mahomes rolling outside of the pocket. Over the last 5 NFL postseasons combined, every single game of every single team, Patrick Mahomes has accounted for 41% of all touchdown passes thrown outside the pocket. 41%.
Educate and entertain, ladies and gentlemen. Quickly, see you. They're asking in the chat, how low would you take the Mahomes passing yards down to?
I would probably go down to 280.5, which is a lot. There's a lot of room there from 285 to 280. So I think that's probably where I'd still feel comfortable betting it.
Okay, very good. Alex, go.
I love the Mahomes play as well. I think it's a super sharp look. I honestly think it would be a sharp look even if Mahomes was 100% healthy, considering that he's not. Just icing on the cake for me. I really love that spot. Probably besides my second favorite prop in the game.
All right, very good. Other props that we are on as a brand: R.J. White, Joe Mixon over 22.5 receiving yards, Jamar Chase over 6.5 catches. And then Micah is on the Bengals money line at plus 112. So let's talk about some of these guys because we talked on the earlier show. And understand, if you're new to this or new to looking at it from a betting perspective, we base these picks off the game script that we think is going to happen. We never could have predicted Brock Purdy comes out in the first quarter. Josh Johnson comes in. The Eagles are just going to run the ball for a full quarter and a half. You can't predict that. That's why these things, you got to be very careful, and you got to listen to my guys. It's based off a game script. So, Proppy, let's start with you. On the Joe Mixon front, last week, both he and Samaje Perine sailed to their over. Is this a good matchup for them again?
It is, Coach. I'm glad you brought up Mixon. I was really impressed by Joe Mixon last week. Faded him quite a bit this season. Really was ineffective for the majority of the year. But yeah, really encouraged last week, not just by his performance, but the offensive line really did a good job as well. Kansas City does not really stop the run well either. So I think this is a matchup that we could see a heavy dose of Joe Mixon. I both like his over 14.5 rushing attempts. I also like his rushing yards at 57.5. I know RJ's on his passing yards as well. I like his combo line. I just think this is a game that could feature a lot of Joe Mixon, who could be effective as he was last week. So I expect a heavy dose of him, like him quite a bit. As far as P. Ryan's concerned, he kind of really comes into play more if the Bengals are trailing. They use him as a third down back, hurry up back in the 2-minute drill and stuff like that. But kind of just depends on if Kansas City is able to get up in a lead. Considering the game is as tight as it's going to be, I kind of favor Mixon props more than I do P. Ryan.
All right. Very, very good. By the way, Paul in the chat says, Cincy rolls easy. Paul, you are dead to me. Dead to me.
Smells like a showdown, Coach.
Kind of.
I just can't, because what have we all learned over the course of a season? You got to be objective. We haven't beaten the Bengals the last 3 times, so why would I show down with my heart? I always show down with my head, so I can.
True, it's that Burrow head too, Coach.
How about this? While we let that one sit, all right. Those 3 that you talk about, right? Joe Burrow being 3-0 against Patrick Mahomes. All 3 of those games decided by exactly 3 points. In the last 2 were decided 27-24, exact score in both of them. Like, these games are unbelievably consistent, right? Yep. Playoffs are different, but yeah, man, like these games have been close.
Yeah. Alex, go.
Speaking of the number 3 AB, I think you can bring up a great point. Another thing that Joe Burrow has in common with me is he's 3-0 against the Chiefs. I have 3 gems this season, going for my 4th, which I'm very confident I'm going to get. And I'm very confident Joe Burrow is going to become 4-0 as well. Something we can maybe celebrate together tonight, Coach.
Maybe so. Maybe so.
That's a nice promo.
That was awesome. That was so like a move I would do.
I know.
And you just took over.
It was very counselor-esque. Very counselor-esque, I will say. Now, see, let me come to you, because I mentioned it off the top that I got straight information, straight from Arrowhead, straight from the field level at Arrowhead. So if Kelsey's going to be healthy, last week he had like 1,000 targets and 1,000 catches. It was the most catches in postseason history for a tight end, 14. So now his number is still 6.5. His yardage a little bit lower, 73.5. Let's say he's all the way healthy. Your thoughts?
If he's all the way healthy, I like both of those, but I would probably go with the yardage more than I would go with the receptions. I mean, one thing we know about the Cincinnati Bengals defensively is they're really well coached. Their defensive coordinator, I think he kind of knows what to do against Mahomes. That doesn't mean he can shut Mahomes down, but I think their number one priority, especially after they figure out how healthy Mahomes actually is, which is going to take potentially a couple drives, is to really make Mahomes look somewhere else. Look to Marcus Valdez-Scantling, McCole Hardman, who's going to be active. Obviously, Kadarius Toney, Juju Smith-Schuster, McKinnon. I don't think he's going to let Kelsey beat them. And coming off the game that Kelsey had last week, all eyes are going to be on him. So I think he's still going to get his, but I wonder if the volume's going to tick down just a bit, and we might see him over on the yardage as opposed to the receptions. I don't hate either of the overs, and I'm not betting either of them, by the way, but if I was going to, it would be the yardage.
Okay. Samaje Perine, let's go back to him for a second. His rushing number only. We've talked about his receiving number, AB. Do you like him on the ground? Because last week, and I know it's all game relevant, but he went over both of his numbers, the combo number and the rushing number.
Yeah. All right. So here's the thing. All right. So Props broke that down perfectly of how they use him, right? Here's something I'm not saying this is going to happen, but we've seen now twice in a row with the Eagles that their props are almost unplayable in the second half because they're up. And the Bengals have kind of been doing that same thing. They did it to the Bills. Like Jamar Chase was on pace for like 6,000 receiving yards, right? Like halftime comes, they're up. They don't have to do anything anymore, right? So I actually kind of dig it because that scenario is in play, especially if something happens to Patrick Mahomes. Now, you can't bet on an injury, but I kind of feel better about that one than anything else. Then again, I mean, if this is a tight one, I don't like it as much. It's a risk. I would love to hear these guys, speak on it too, but that scenario's in play for sure, man.
Let's go see, and then Alex.
Well, I was just going to say something really obvious, but that we might not actually be thinking about right now, especially those who are a little shy to bet against the Kansas City Chiefs at home. This is a really good live bet opportunity because typically, unless Mahomes exits the game, like if Mahomes exits the game early, they're going to shut down the line or they're just going to inflate it. But if he looks hobbled and he looks like he's not able to maneuver, or maybe on the first drive, he takes a bad hit and he gets up awkwardly, the line's not going to adjust enough. And so I just think this might be a game. I've already put a bet down on this game. It's not an official play, but I've already put a bet down on this game against the spread. Spoiler alert, it is the Bengals. This is one of my SportsLine plays. I should say it was an official play, actually. If you're a SportsLine member, not only you didn't get this today. You didn't get it yesterday. You got it literally right when the lines came out. Right after we did the early edge, I went up and I put that SportsLine official play out. It was plus 1.5 when I put it out, but by the time we got it up, which was just minutes later, it had already gone down to money line. So Coach obviously wants to engage in a showdown, so I'm going to let him talk.
I cannot believe you just said that.
I mean, it's an official play. It's literally on the app.
I understand, and I saw it, and I was going to act like I didn't see it. But since you had to bring it to the show and you had to bring it to the public, I feel the need to stand up for Chiefs Kingdom. The need to understand sometimes you got to look fate in the eye and say, this is our time. This is our year. 5 straight to the AFC Championship. But as I said in the package that I voiced for CBS Sports, it's all about championships and getting there and getting it done. But you can't get there until you win today. So I don't even need to ask Big Boy if he's in or out. He already said he's in. So, AB, if you don't mind, you know what to do. It's gonna be a showdown. Now, I don't believe, as Chris says, do it, Coach. You're damn right, Chris. I just did it. So what is the number? Are we going 1? Is that the number?
Well, I see currently plus 1.5. But you know what, Coach? Here's the thing. I think the Bengals are just going to flat out win this game. And at 1.5, it's not much. I'm willing to concede the 1.5 and just go money line with you.
That is very, very game of you. And I will take it. So straight money line, whoever wins, they win the showdown.
That's right.
Do you guys know, quick question, when you pay somebody on Venmo, are you allowed to do it 2 times in the same day, or do you have to wait till the next day?
Well, we may find out later.
You're damn right. We're going to find out later. All right. Let me come back to you, Probby. That was a lot of fun. Let me come back to you because everybody's asking about it because we've been looking at quarterback rushing props. And unless they do something stupid, that's going to be a great ticket that we cash with Jalen Hurts today. You guys described it perfectly. So Burrow's number is 17.5. The chat also says that Mahomes' number is 10.5. I don't have it at my book. I know some books have taken it off because of the ankle. Your thoughts on legs and quarterbacks?
Yeah, as far as Mahomes is concerned, we're really speculating on the severity of his injury. I prefer not to do that, considering we don't know exactly how healthy, how mobile he's going to be. Obviously, a high ankle sprain is going to affect his mobility more so than anything. I'm confident in him being able to stand in the pocket and deliver throws down the field. However, getting out of the pocket is a whole different story. You need to plant, you need to cut. So I'm staying away from Mahomes rushing props, even though it is an attractive number. Just rather not play with fire there. As far as Burrow is concerned, he did use his legs more last week than he has pretty much all season long. Now we're seeing a bump. Usually his rushing prop is around 12 to 13 yards, up to 18, as Coach mentioned. I think the number's efficient. I do expect him to lean on his legs a bit more, so I think it's an efficient number considering it increased, ticked up like 4 or 5 yards from last week.
All right, very good. Yes, Sia.
I have to give an update because it's just so crazy. Because the 49ers, literally, they don't have the ability to throw the pass forward. I just saw Brock Purdy try to throw a ball, and he could only throw it 3 yards forward. Because they don't have that ability, with 4 minutes left on 3rd and 9, they ran it down 31-7 with Christian McCaffrey. and that was his 15th carry.
Oh.
And he hits the over, and I lose my prop.
Oh.
So these are the things. Listen, these are the things you just cannot account for.
Yeah.
I'm going, because of Devontae Smith and Christian McCaffrey, I'm going to go 0-2. But the Christian McCaffrey one is specifically because the 49ers don't have anybody to pass the ball forward, literally in a forward motion. And so they're just giving up and giving it to McCaffrey.
It's a great example that we talk about all the time. Some things you can't predict. Alex, go.
Yeah, two things. One, that just illustrates how good of a play fading Christian McCaffrey's rushing attempts was, considering it required literally having a quarterback unable to throw a forward pass for him to eclipse 15 rushing attempts. So just want to say, don't be results-oriented. That was a great, great spot. Not telling Sia not to be results-oriented. I'm saying if you tailed that bet and are upset because you lost, great spot. Also, I mentioned this ad nauseum. McCaffrey, again, in the first half, large rushing load. If you look at his live lines, his total was over 100 yards at halftime. Tremendous fading opportunity happened once again. Hope people took advantage of some of that information that I gave out.
Hashtag it pays to watch live. I feel like I just say it over and over and over again, but you can't just look at the recap screen. There's so much information to use, and the guys just described it to you. And right now there's a huge brawl going on in the game. Trent Williams just body slammed some defensive back for the Eagles. And Williams had all the attention coming into this week. He had a perfect score, perfect scenario, and now he's just body slamming dudes because they're behind 31-7.
It's Royal Rumble weekend.
Yeah, it is.
Was it a clean bump?
It was a clean bump. It was a nice little hip toss. All right, we are approaching the top of the hour. We do know one of the two teams that is going to be in the Super Bowl, and that is the Philadelphia Eagles. They have been there since day one, and they have fulfilled their destiny from day one to finish the season as the NFC champions. And now Trent Williams is getting thrown out of the game and walked to the locker room. It was that bad. So congratulations, Alex, to the Philadelphia Eagles. 15 seconds on your trip to the Super Bowl, sir. Go ahead.
Absolutely elated. What a fantastic dream season it's been. You mentioned this offense. It's just been such a joy to watch. So versatile. The defense has really been the story in the second half of all season long, but really showed out. 70 sacks in the regular season, paired with the most explosive offense in the league. It honestly feels like having a Pro Bowl roster rooting for this team. It's just been incredible.
So I guess it begs the question, are you going to be accepting any showdowns if said team gets to said game?
Coach, I want all of the smoke, 100% of it.
I'll put a pin in you. By the way, AB, your former boss, Noah, he's getting a little squirrely over there in the chat. He says, and I quote, "It looks like there's a lot of people who would take that showdown against the coach."
Noah's definitely never been one to hold his tongue. And you know what? We love him for that because that's what makes Noah Noah. And also, I see that he's dropping the Paramount Plus link in the chat. So everybody that saw Coach's awesome promo there for the AFC Championship, watch that on Paramount Plus. Stream it there. Hey, there we go.
You know what? One other
that was an incredible promo, Coach.
Thank you very much. Thank you. One of the things that stinks is, I did that Brock Purdy package for CBS Sports, and then he gets hurt. There's so many things that sucks about today, and I really feel for Sia because, all kidding aside, we kid each other all the time. It's what we love to do, but when this happens, it doesn't feel good for anybody. It doesn't feel good. We're competitors. We don't want to just win over on a walkover. So, all right, we are at the top of the hour. It is 6 o'clock. The Bengals and the Chiefs start in exactly 30 minutes live from Arrowhead. The weather's supposed to be pretty nice. A little chilly, but the wind's not going to be crazy, so it should be just fine under the lights. I can't think of anything better. But many of you drop in at the top of the hour, so we will recount our best bets. We have a lot of them. We will do the gem. Today, Miles Sanders scored the first touchdown, so there was no cash ticket there into the club, but we still have a chance tonight. So, gentlemen, for all of the new viewers, and for those of you who did not grab your paper and pencil, let's do ours in 15 to 20 seconds if we can. Proppy, start us off.
Yeah, we've got Juju Smith-Schuster, longest reception under 19.5 yards. Juju's really been phased out of Kansas City's offense recently. Only has a 120-yard reception one time in his last 8 games. He has the second most shallow ADOT of any pass catcher on the team as well at only 7.3 yards. And the Cincinnati Bengals have a very stingy pass defense. I really think because of how many mouths to feed, he's not going to receive more than 4 or 5 targets, and they're all going to be fairly close to the line of scrimmage. That's why I love fading him under 19.5 yards, longest reception.
Alex, do you want some really good news?
I do.
They have yanked Jalen Hurts.
Wow.
Minshew's in, 11 carries, 39 yards. So we will cast that under 47.5 ticket. It was a sweat, but my man Proppy coming through yet again. Congratulations, sir. Well done.
Thank you, Coach.
Well done. All right. So EC had a NFL parlay, whatever he had there. Doesn't work because the 49ers got crushed. Mikey, when the number was 2.5, that's kind of gone. You got to watch us since Tuesday. RJ is on Joe Mixon and Jamar Chase over 6.5 catches. And AB, bring it strong, big boy.
Yes, sir. We got 4 plays here. We're going Bengals first half, team total over 10.5. Bengals second half, team total over 12.5, getting both of those under that key number of 13. Patrick Mahomes over half an interception. And the Bengals and Chiefs both to score 20-plus points at -115.
And then the Maestro's on the wrong side as he's on the Bengals +1. Shamaj P. Ryan over 15.5 catch receiving yards. Juju Smith-Schuster. Let's go. We're fading him all over the board today. And then, of course, Patrick Mahomes. Dave agrees with Sia. Isaiah Pacheco under 47.5 rush yards. And then Micah, 1 play. He's on the Bengals money line. Sia, let me come back to you because we have not talked about the Bengals receivers at all for the first 30 minutes of this show. And Jamar Chase 2 weeks ago sailed to the over. But then last week, I think it was just the game script, 27-10. They didn't have to do a lot. But do you think that he has to go off tonight in order for the Bengals to win?
It's funny that you put it like that because I don't know that he has to. I think they may try to establish Joe Mixon like they did last week. And if that's the case, and if we see less possessions, because I could see on the Kansas City side, if they can establish the run with Isaiah Pacheco, maybe some Jerick McKinnon, that's their preferred route to getting points and keeping Joe Burrow off the field. Don't forget there's 2 great quarterbacks in this game. So there is a scenario where there's not as many possessions in this game as people think, because I think both teams are actually going to want to establish the run. That may tick down in terms of the receptions for guys like Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and company. So I think T. Higgins will have a good game. I don't think I'm willing to play his over 83.5. If I knew Pat Mahomes was fully healthy, it would probably be a different analysis. But because I don't, I'm looking at the unders across the board on those Bengals receivers.
Coach, can I jump in real quick and add something?
Of course you can.
You can see it. You actually just answered a question in the chat that I wanted to address here. Stacy asks, hi, is there a specific reason there have been a lot less donkeys this year? Same thing, gooses as well. Always enjoyed them. Yeah, Stacy, what Sia just said right there. Like once the playoffs get here, possessions go down, scoring goes down, props go down, etc. It's much more difficult to hit a multitude of those. I believe props would say the same thing as well as Mike. So, Sia, you absolutely answered that question. And I know the last thing that props or Mike would want to do is give you bad, information, bad parlays, things like that. So that's exactly why you saw it once the playoffs came, drop right down.
I disagree. That's all we want to do is give bad information, AB. I mean, that's what we thrive off of, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, look, the missus is in the chat today. Crystal wanted to learn a little bit of something last night, rocking out to O-Town and Sugar Ray. Many of you weren't even old enough to know who they are, but it was fun. Damn it, was it fun. But come back today, we're cashing tickets. So give me one name, though, Sia, because there's going to be somebody that is going to go over. And you said you're fading 84.5, 58.5 T. Higgins, and 33.5 Tyler Boyd. Give me one that you think could go over.
I'd ask you to give me Hayden Hurst's number because I think that might be the safety valve for Joe Burrow.
34.5 or 4.5 catches.
I would lean to the 34.5 because I think on one of those catches he gets, let's say he gets 4, I think one of them he could get loose for a chunk gain. So of those receivers, I mean, Jamar Chase is certainly in the conversation. I don't think I have the guts to take T. Higgins because the target share just has not been there for him. Boyd is so hit or miss, and we don't know if Irwin is going to play and just duck into some of those targets as well. So for me, it's Hayden Hurst. Even though the Kansas City Chiefs they're decent against the tight end, I think Hurst has made himself known to Burrow in terms of being a very reliable target.
Okay. Probably let me come back to you because a lot of people didn't see our prop show on Friday, and there's been this narrative that Tony is going to be the savior for the Chiefs receiving numbers. And I would love for you to explain to people, because a lot of people are in the chat going, what about Tony? What about Tony? 3.5 catches. He just hasn't been a guy that Kansas City has used a lot. Can you explain that, please?
Yeah, he's only a part-time player in the offense for starters, so only playing about 20 snaps per game. Coupled with the fact he has the most shallow ADOT of any pass catcher on the team. That includes all the tight ends as well. Almost all of his targets are coming very close to the line of scrimmage. They're trying to get him the ball in space. Hasn't really been effective with that role. If you look at the majority of his games, he's had like 3, 4, 5 receptions, usually has like 25, 30 yards as a result. That's not a lot of production. That's not the sort of production you want out of a wide receiver. So yeah, I still think he's struggling to really find a role where he can be utilized best in this Kansas City offense. People just assumed with the new change of scenery with Patrick Mahomes, it would just result in huge games like he had in his rookie season for the Giants. But he really only had one huge game as a Giant, and then it was pretty much downhill after that. So I think he's a little bit overrated because of his draft pedigree and because of that early game he had where he had close to 200 receiving yards as a Giant. He hasn't really done much since that game.
And his catch prop is juiced to the under, -134.
It's really hard to take a volume-based prop, coach, especially an over, when you're only playing about 20 offensive snaps, which is about a third of the Chiefs' offensive plays in the game.
Yeah, very true. So I'm going to play the under and prove me wrong. What about his yardage? Let me look at his yardage real quick, because this has been something I'm 16 and a half. Oh, that's as long as reception. So I don't see his receiving. Oh, yeah, 32 and a half. 32 and a half. Would you go under there too?
It just kind of depends. I personally would lean under. Absolutely. They did make a concerted effort to get him the ball. When he's on the field, he gets targeted. It's just he's not really doing much with the targets. I have to imagine that Reed is going to eventually, call on other guys who are able to make more happen with their targets. That is terrible per target efficiency. One of the top metrics that NFL teams use to evaluate how effective a receiver isn't your yards per catch, it's your yards per target. That's a very telling indication of a player's effectiveness, and he has one of the lowest yards per targets, not just on the Chiefs, but in the entire NFL.
Boom. There you go. By the way, I know many of you came in at the top of the hour. My man Sam said, just popped in from the other game. Did Coach give any updated from his inside man on the injuries in Kansas City? There's a lot of you coming over as this game ends on Fox. And yes, I did give an update, but I'll give it to all of you again. My connection in Kansas City, watched Travis Kelsey walk into the locker room. No issues. Watched him warm up. No issues. Gave a little fist pound to the trainer who also works with my connection, and no issues. There is no reservations. There is nothing holding Travis Kelsey back today. He is 100% a go for anybody that wants to play his props. All right, it is 10 after. The game starts in about 20 minutes, and I got to be honest with you. I'm getting a little bit nervous. This is – throw the betting stuff out. This is my team. This is my team since diapers. So let's get to the gym. I believe we've hit all the props. We've hit all the names. We've hit all the numbers. Use the information to your advantage. But we have one very important thing that we have left to do, because there's bragging rights here in the Early Edge universe, and we take it very, very seriously. So who is going to score the first touchdown of the game tonight? Mikey is not here, so Proppy 3 times gets to go first. Who do you like in this game, the AFC Championship?
Why, thank you, Coach. I'm going to go with Hayden Hurst at, I believe, plus 1,500 odds. Sia mentioned he has been Joe Burrow's security blanket throughout the majority of the season. Had a big game last week. I think he can get open and really benefit from all the coverage that T. Higgins and Jamar Chase draw, especially when we get into the red zone area. Has a really solid, sure pair of hands. To quote the great Mark McGrath, I just want to fly to my 4th touchdown.
That was great. When he hit that first note last night, the place went bananas. I just want to fly. I want to fly. I want to fly. I want to fly. All right, now, who's up next? I believe it is our 5-tool player. AB, you're up.
Yes, sir. You know what? Every morning there's a halo hanging from. All right, look, we're gonna. I was gonna let that thing rip the whole way, dude. I am down with Mark McGrath. I like him. He did not get enough credit. He seems cool. All for it. I'm going Samaje P. Ryan. I almost went 50 Cent and saying, look, if you're trying to get rich and die trying, all right, you give it to Samaje P. Ryan. He's gonna get you in the end zone. Yeah, man. I think this is gonna be a wild game. I think it's gonna be a fun one. Yeah, give me Samaje.
It's going to be a hell of a lot more fun than the first game. I can tell you that. All right, Counselor, you're looking for how many cashes would this be tonight?
Well, I'm looking for my second gem, if that's what you're asking.
That's what I'm asking. That's what I'm asking. Okay.
Number
Who do
two.
you like? Number two. Okay.
So I like, we just mentioned him, Jamar Chase is going to get a lot of attention, and that's very well deserved, but there is a huge receiver, a 6'4" receiver that's extremely talented, that's kind of fallen off the face of the earth over the last 4 or 5 weeks, and that's T. Higgins. So I think T. Higgins at plus 1,400, I actually expect Cincinnati to score first, although that can be a coin flip, obviously. But with that said, I think T. Higgins is going to be a very good, reliable target, especially early. So at plus 1,400, I'll take it. I think you should put your arms around this bet, baby. Put your arms around this bet, baby.
Oh, that is fantastic. And the final one, the snake, still trying to get in, still outside the club saying, please, somebody. So he's got Tyler Boyd tonight at plus 2,200. All right.
Look, Coach, I want to say one thing. In the rare shot that Sugar Ray or Mark McGrath's people are watching this show, we've given you a lot of advertising run here. All right, we're going to need a check made out to the team.
He was so great. He was like, I'm 54 years old, and you guys still come out to watch me. That's how I feel about this show, although I'm not 54 yet. But you guys come out to watch us. It's a family affair. What?
You know who he is? And I'm going to go back. I'm going to use this analogy as your, Sports Center background, all right?
Yep.
Mark McGrath is Carl Ravitch. You just show up, do a great job for 30 years, don't cause any problems whatsoever, find a hang in the background, and those checks just roll, man. You just live a good life. I think I'm calling it. He's the Carl Ravitch of music, I guess, whatever.
Or he could be best friends with the top executive that's in charge of talent at ESPN, and that helps too. So, I mean, it's all those type of things.
However you have to do it.
However you have to do it. All right. We have reached that time. Matthew says, Coach, AB doesn't look a day over 64.
I appreciate that.
All right. Like we like to end every single one of our shows asking my guys, what's the number one most important thing that you're looking forward to for this game? Use this information either tonight in a live betting aspect or moving forward. So, AB, start us off.
Yeah. All right. So what happens if either of these teams win, all right, Bengals or Chiefs, right? You got Mahomes, who his last Super Bowl, I believe, was a loss, correct? Right? Against the Bucs?
Yes.
Was that the last?
Yes.
Yeah. So got him. Burrow, also his last Super Bowl was a loss, right? Did either of them bounce back? Whoever wins the AFC. I'm fascinated with that. And really just who wins this game, because everybody talks about Mahomes and Allen. Dude, it's Mahomes and Burrow. Like, that's the real QB, like, when it means something. So I'm fired up for this game, dude. These two QBs are awesome.
This is the new Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. That's what this is.
Yeah.
That's what this is. New Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. All right. Sia, and give him a one shot, AB. Give Sia's one shot on this one if you don't mind.
Bam.
Oh, wow. Well, I appreciate that. Can we do this the rest of the show, or maybe all shows for that matter? Listen, real quick, what I really want to see in this game is how Mahomes is how he is on that high ankle sprain, frankly. I think Joe Burrow is going to win this game. I think Joe Burrow is maybe going to be one of maybe 2 or 3 faces of this league in a year or so. Maybe he should be already, but this is going to be a pretty great matchup. And if Joe Burrow advances, I'm really curious to see how that matchup is, Eagles versus the Cincinnati Bengals. One other thing I got to point out in the chat, a lot of controversy in the chat in terms of who the best boy band is. I think that's a matter we need to settle on a different show, but it's obviously NSYNC and not New Kids on the Block or the Backstreet Boys.
I can settle it right now. I can settle it for you right now. All right. The Backstreet Boys were better. NSYNC just had Michael Jordan.
Well, so we've done this before.
They
did.
They did. And that's true, because last night, Chris Kirkpatrick was there, and he sang 5 NSYNC songs with O-Town. Worst dancer, worst voice I've ever heard. But he was one of the lucky ones to work with Michael, who is, of course, Justin Timberlake.
RJ said Boys to Men this morning.
Stop. All right, Proppy, you're already in the Super Bowl. You're already there. You're already on a plane. But there's one more team that's got to cash. What are you looking forward to tonight?
No love for 98 degrees, guys. Honestly, I want to see the mobility of Patrick Mahomes. I want to see what happens when the Bengals are able to force him out of the pocket. He's always able to pick up big chunk yardage when he needs to. Is he going to be limited tonight? Because if he is, this Bengals team is scary. I think they're going to need a big performance out of Mahomes. I also want to see if Kelsey's back ends up flaring up. We've obviously heard these reports over the past 24 hours leading up to this game. Is he operating at less than 100%? Because if Mahomes and his favorite target, Kelsey, are not close to 100%, I just think this is going to be 4-0 for Joe Burrow against Coach's Chiefs. Sorry to say it, Coach.
That's quite all right. But guess what? Guess what? It's a family affair today. I told you, since diapers, not just for me, for the big man right here who is fired up and ready to go. We watch every game together. But, son, I believe that it's time to end the show. Do you know how we end the show?
You've got your marching orders. Now take your tickets straight to the pay window. And all those Bengals fans out there, you're going down.
Ooh, you're going down, son. The big man said it. So with all my crew, love them all. Love the big man. Love the counselor. Love Proppy. Love AB. We love everybody. But damn it, tonight is our night. How can you beat that?
Let's
How can you
go.
beat that? Let's go. Enjoy the game. We love all of this stuff at the Early Edge. Good luck.